Hey guys, this is Mrs. Lyons, and this video will show you how to convert between mass and moles. All right, so you're going to see one of two types of problems. Like this first problem, it asks us for the mass, it gives us moles. Okay, so we're going to start by figuring out what we know and what we need to know. Okay, so our known in this is 1.33 moles of barium phosphate. So 1.33 moles of barium phosphate. Okay, and then what we're looking for are unknown, and that's always going to be the thing that has the question. So in this case, it says, what is the mass? All right, mass is the grams. So it's asking us to calculate how many grams of barium phosphate there are in 1.33 moles. Okay, so when we set up this type of a problem, we're always going to start with our given. Okay, you're going to write your given down, 1.33 moles of barium phosphate. Okay, we're always going to put that over 1. Okay, anytime we do one of these problems, just start with that number over 1. Okay, now in order for us to convert, okay, we need to set up this other conversion. So we need units and we need a number. Okay, so what I want you to remember is that when you set up a problem like this, you're always going to look at the units. So in this case, our units are moles of barium phosphate. All right, those are going to go down diagonally. So not the number. You will only use this 1.33 once, which is right where it is right now. Okay, but down here, our units are going to be moles of barium phosphate. Okay, and on top is going to be what we're looking for. So in this case, we're looking for grams of barium phosphate. Okay, so here are the things that you need to remember. When you have moles in this type of a problem, the number that goes with moles is always 1. Okay, because we're always looking at the molar mass, which is the mass of 1 mole of the substance. Okay, now in this case, we have to then come up with our grams, and our grams are going to come from the periodic table. Okay, so I'm going to add another piece of paper here so that I can do this calculation. So I need to know what is the molar mass of barium phosphate. So I've got to count up my atoms. So I've got 3 barium. I have 2 phosphorus. And I have 8 oxygen. All right, so now I need my periodic table to find the molar mass of barium is 137.33. So we're going to have 3 times 137.33. Phosphorus is 30.97. So 2 times 30.97. And oxygen is 16. Okay, so 8 times 16. All right, so let's do that math. All right, let's see. Calculator. I'm going to use my phone as my calculator. So 3 times 137.33 is 411.99. Okay, we're going to do 2 times 30.97. So phosphorus is going to contribute 61.94. And then oxygen, 8 times 16 is 128. All right, we're going to add these 3 numbers together. So 128 plus 61.94 plus 411.99. All right, for a grand total of 601.93 grams. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take that number up here into our conversion factor. So 601.93. Okay, so now what we're going to do with these numbers, okay, is this is set up kind of like a fraction. All right, and if you're multiplying two fractions, you multiply the top and then you divide by the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to take 1.33 times 601.93, and that gives me an answer, and this is going to be my answer over here, is going to be 800.57. I'm going to round up the second decimal place, and that's going to be grams of barium phosphate. All right, I'm going to put a box around that. Okay, so let's try another one. All right, so that was if we're given moles, we're calculating mass. The second type of problem is going to be if we're given mass to calculate moles. Okay, so same process. And what you're going to find out, I guess, go back to this problem up here. It's kind of like when you do a fraction, units work like that. So if we have the same thing on the top and bottom, so in this case we have moles of barium phosphate, both on top and bottom, those will cancel out, leaving us with the units that we want our answer to be in. All right, so let's set this one up the same way. So we have our known. In this case, our known is 157.8 grams of calcium chloride. And there are my puppies right on cue. They always wait till I'm making a video to bark. Let me shut the door, at least they won't be so noisy. All right. So, our known is 157.8 grams of calcium chloride. Our unknown, so what we're looking for is going to be the moles of calcium chloride. Okay, I'm going to set my problem up exactly the same way. I'm going to start with my given, 157.8 grams of calcium chloride. Okay, and I'm going to put that over 1. Okay, now I need to fill in this conversion factor. Okay, so once again, you're going to take your units down diagonally. So grams of calcium chloride is going to go here. Okay, so that's going to be grams of calcium chloride. And on top is what we're looking for, so moles of calcium chloride. Okay, like we said before, when you have moles in this type of a problem, it's always going to be 1 because 1 mole is equal to the molar mass of calcium chloride. All right, so let's figure out what the molar mass of calcium chloride is. Okay, so we've got 1 calcium and 2 chlorine. Okay, so if we look at our periodic table, calcium is right here with a molar mass of 40.08. And then chlorine has a molar mass of 35.45. All right, and we've got to take that by 2, 35.45. And if we multiply that by 2, we're going to get 70.90. So we're going to add those together. And we're going to get 110.98 grams. That's the molar mass of calcium chloride. Okay, so we're going to plug this into my equation up here. Okay, so we said 1 mole is equal to the molar mass, which is 110.98 grams. Okay, now if you think about this like you'd think about fractions, okay, here's how we would get our numbers. So 157.8 times 1 is 157.8. And then 1 times 110.98 Okay, and that you don't have to do that, but that shows you what the math you're going to do is. Okay, so we're going to take 157.8 divided by 110.98. So let's do that. 157.8 divided by 110.98. And we get a number of 1.42. Put this here, 1.42 moles of calcium chloride. Okay, so those are the two types of problems you're going to see. We're going to do two more examples together, okay, just so you kind of get into the routine and the practice of this. All right, so practice number 1, how many moles are equal to 89.23 grams of calcium oxide? So I'm going to set this up. I'm going to write down my known, my unknown. And if you get to the point that you don't need to write down the unknown and known, that is fine. I do need you to always set the problem up like we're showing it here, okay? So let's see, what do we know? We know that we have 89.23 grams of calcium oxide. And we're looking for moles. Oops. Okay. So calcium oxide, we need the molar mass of calcium oxide. So we've got 1 calcium and 1 oxygen. All right, if you look at your periodic table, the molar mass of calcium is 40.08 and the molar mass of oxygen is 16. So we're going to end up with a molar mass of 56.08 grams, okay? So let's look and see how that works in our problem. All right, so let's see. We're going to start with what we know. 89.23 grams calcium oxide, always over 1. Okay, now we have to decide, do the grams go on the top or on the bottom? Well, if you remember down in diagonal, what that tells us is that grams of calcium oxide is going to go on the bottom, and 1 mole is going to go on the top, okay? And we calculated that molar mass to be 56.08, so that's going to go in here where the grams are, 56.08, all right? Now, if you think about this, what we're going to do is we're just going to take 89.23 divided by 56.08. Okay, if it helps you think about this, it's like it's 2 fractions. So we would be doing 89.23 times 1. Okay, so on the top we would have 89.23. And then on the bottom we would have 1 times 56.08. All right, so then I would just divide those two. I take 89.23. All right, let's see, 89.23 divided by 56.08. I'm going to get 1.59, and that's going to be moles of calcium oxide. Okay, think about this, all right? Our units are going to cancel out, leaving us with moles of calcium oxide. Okay, you always want to make sure that your units cancel out. So up here we would have grams of calcium chloride, grams of calcium chloride. Okay, that's what directs us into how we set this thing up. All right, let's do one more together. All right, what is the mass in grams of 3.46 moles of sodium sulfide? So our known is 3.46 moles of Na2S. Our unknown is going to be grams of Na2S. Okay, So we're going to set this up. 3.46 moles. We're going to put that over 1. All right. And do you see that the units, knowing what units go where, is what helps us figure out what number goes where? All right. So we're going to take moles of sodium sulfide down in diagonal. All right. So moles is going to go on the bottom. And we know that the number of moles is always 1. All right. And then on the top, we're going to need grams of sodium sulfide. All right. Anytime you see you're being asked for grams, you're always going to use your periodic table and find the molar mass. Okay. So here, Na2S, all right, I have 2 sodium, 1 sulfur. If you look at your periodic table, the molar mass of sodium is 22.99. And the molar mass of sulfur is 32.07. Right, we do need to take the sodium times 2. So that's going to give us, I'm going to do this on my calculator so I don't mess it up. 22.99 times 2, 45.98. So that's 45.98 plus 32.07. So let's add those together. 78.05. That's the number of grams. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our problem, okay, and we're going to plug 78.05 in where grams is. So 78.05. Okay. Now, for this, since both numbers are on top, we're going to multiply the numbers on the top, okay? And then the bottom is just 1 times 1, so we really don't need to do that. But we can double check that our moles are going to cancel out. Okay, so 3.46 times 78.05 is 270.05 grams of Na2S. Okay, so hopefully that helps understand how you figure out. One of the key things we've got to do in this unit is remember what units go where, and then what numbers go with what units. If you can figure that out, you're gonna be happy when it's test day. All right. So that is it for now. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in class.